Kaylee Evans. Welcome to my channel, Social Care Connections. I hope you enjoy the video.
Again, this is a key theory or a key framework. So we talk a lot about relationships, and we've said, relationships are so important. But the 3 Ps are a really good framework to get us to think about how do we develop these professional relationships. So, it's a good framework for you to think about, like the professional, the personal and the private. And in social pedagogy, we talk about how you cannot be professional if you cannot engage the personal. So the professional is that you have to acknowledge the roles. So, when you work with people, when I was a social worker, I only ever met those young people because I was their leaving care social worker. I wouldn't have come across them in any other way. And also, being a professional, that brings a set of knowledge and a set of skills that you have. And so it's about recognising that and understanding that. But then the second and most important part is the personal. So you're going to to build up those relationships, you're going to bring and use parts of you and your personality and parts of who you are as a person to engage with people. And we talk about reciprocity. So when you build up relationships, what you do is you share a bit of yourself, and then that person will respond and respond back to you. And relationships are this layering and building up of sharing information about yourself. Now, the private aspect is really important because there are lots of things that you're never going to share, and that is absolutely fine. And so it's thinking about, is this useful? So if I'm building up this relationship with this young person that I'm working with, is it really useful for them to know this certain part about my private life? And so you have to make that professional judgment about whether it is or not. And what I would say is that you've got to ask yourself the question, is this helpful? Why am I sharing this bit of information? And if it's because you want the young person to like you, then you really shouldn't be sharing it. However, if it's going to be helpful to build up that relationship, then you share that bit of your private life, and then that becomes part of the personal. And what happens is, over time, as you get to know people and you build up relationships, is that the boundaries between the 3 Ps will shift, and the context. So there'll be some young people or some adults that you work with that you never share very much with because that would be unsafe for them and it would be unsafe for you. And so it's very much about context, but it gives us a really good reflective framework to think about how you use parts of yourself. And I suppose the other key thing to say about it is that this isn't about information. So it's not about sharing addresses and dates of birth. The 3 Ps, the personal aspect, is about how you respond to people. You don't necessarily have to tell them lots of information about yourself, but it's about how you're empathic and compassionate in your communication with people.
What did you think of that, what they said?
Yeah, so the 3 Ps are really, really key in social pedagogy practice. An example, so you've got the professional part of your body, of who you are and what you do on a day-to-day basis. So you've got your social work. I've got my social pedagogy, and we've got the personal part of us. So the bit outside of work, and then the private bit which we keep to ourselves that we don't share. And within those 3 different spheres, there's a fluidity in it. So things that were in the private may eventually end up in the personal one day, or maybe even in the professional one day, depending on what it is. And for me, it's good for building rapport with someone. So if I'm supporting someone with mental health conditions that they've got, that if that relationship and that rapport isn't there, it's going to be difficult because they're not going to really engage that well. And why would they? Because you need to have that relationship with someone, otherwise they're not going to. So say if I was working with someone who was really into music, or it was a musician, and I've got a musician background as well, so I can bring that out my personal, bring it into my professional, and talk about things like that. Similar interests to build that relationship up from the start. Any sort of work, really, it's about that relationship and that rapport, because if you don't get on with someone, you're not really going to engage with them. And if a worker was coming to them and you don't really have a relationship, it could be just sort of like, oh, it's a waste of time. Like, why? I'm not getting anything from this. So yeah, building that relationship's key, and your professional part of your life is almost like your toolkit that you can bring in.
No, I think you're right. It really applies to my practice as well. So I used an example. I actually used this to write an assignment about safeguarding and how it applied, because I realised as much as you do everything that you have to do from a professional standpoint, the thing that people remember is how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And it's like part of that is finding some commonality between the two of you, even at times where it's really hard and you're going, because you find that you sort of go through some of these really hard times with people. It's nice if you've had some conversations where you feel like you know a bit about each other. Yeah, so there was one situation where it was a really high profile safeguarding case, but then also we were able to share our interests around technology and using that to actually benefit. It's benefited us both, and then I could share resources that I'd use. And then it really worked well, and they said that the main thing they got out of it was they felt more equipped to manage their own life and the safety, but also the confidence improved. So I suppose that's like looking at well-being and both sides of it, like the physical safety, and then also the emotional side. And what do you think?
Yeah, definitely, because bringing that part of your personal into your professional it's sort of building that relationship, but it's showing that you're human as well. Like, we're not a social worker and a social pedagogue. We're human beings that work in these fields. We have souls and stuff like that. So it's good bringing that in. And the more you sort of engage in that way, obviously it's got to be appropriate, but that person will feel listened to and feel a value that you're doing with each other instead of doing to. So, we're walking alongside them and on this journey that they're going in, we're not dragging them along that sort of path.
So it's addressing the power imbalance that might have been there between you being like professional and, service user, even though we don't like that word at all. Because it's not really like you're just two people and you have a particular skill set that might help that person. And I tend to think that people have the answers to their own questions, their own problems and things like that as well. And it's like not just looking at the problem side of it, it's looking at strengths, isn't it, and things.
Definitely, yeah. Because, the power works both ways, really, because they have the power in what they say to me. They don't have to tell me anything, really. And I'd never try and force them to do that. And it sort of brings more of a balance to that power sort of level. I mean, they'll have things in their private that they won't want to bring forward. They may bring little bits of stuff. Say they might say, "Oh, I feel really anxious about this," but they may know what the thing is that's caused this, some sort of incident or experience, but they'll never tell you that. And they don't have to. That's fine. So it works on both sides, really. And it's about finding the middle bit, and that's where the relationship comes from, I
think having boundaries around not sharing certain things is not a problem, because people don't want you to overshare. Because that can become very awkward, can't it? Like if people don't want to know all your problems, because that can, for example, that can be overbearing if someone's in a really stressful situation, and then maybe you came along and you started talking about, oh, well, I've got this problem and I'm doing that, and that's when it goes wrong.
Yeah, because if I was delivering a therapeutic one-to-one session, I'm not there for them to support me in that sense. I'm there to support them with it. Yeah, because it would be unethical if I was like, I've got this really difficult thing, and I know this is your session, but let's talk about me. Yeah. If I did stuff like that, then
it'd be a bit inappropriate.
Yeah, that'd be a wrong job. So
so it is like, it's reasonable, isn't it? But I think it gives you confidence, and it also it gives you a framework really for what you're doing, and that's useful. And I think it's good to think about how you obviously develop more confidence in managing these different sides of your practice as you go along, because I know that I'm more comfortable now sharing certain things with people when it's relevant than I maybe would have been at the beginning. I feel like it's sort of allowed me to be more creative. So things like, the resources that are online that I know people can access for free, that wouldn't work for one person, but it might work if they have a laptop and it's in a setting where, you know, that's appropriate, you know, but then you wouldn't do that for someone else. It just depends. You're not forcing things on people, because that's another thing, isn't it? It's like when you realise that maybe one worker has a particular approach that they're obsessed with, or something that they've reused again and again, and they're passionate about that, and then they're throwing it on the person, and it's just not going to work.
No, I could do the same for you. You know, we could have someone who shows very similar traits and experiences. You've got two people showing pretty much the same. You know, could almost be mirror, but both. You know, if you have one tool in your toolbox that you just apply to everything, even those two people who are not exactly the same, but they've had very similar experiences, it's not going to work for both of them potentially. One of them might really like it, the other one might be like, what are you doing? I don't get this at all. And it's important, I think. What it just reminded me of a role I used to have years ago, like about a decade ago now, we were volunteering. And they used to have a youth group, and it was, how's your week been at the start? And all the staff would always say, oh, I've not done anything. I've just been inside all day. Like, pretty much that sort of thing. Yeah. So, you know, the young people would be like, oh, I've done this, or I've been out. Staff would be like, no, I've not done anything. Anyway, it got to the point where we were going around, and it was getting towards a staff member, a young person, like, let me guess, you've not done anything this weekend. And we're like, they'd sin straight through it. Like, it's okay to bring that personal bit in. Like, there's no harm saying, oh, you know, I took the dog for a walk, or I went out and I did this, or went, you know, that's not inappropriate or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true.
If anything, it'd be stranger if you was just like, no, you know, as soon as I finish work, I stay in the house and I don't come out until work. Like that's stranger than it being like, oh, you know, I'm you know, I do things in my personal time.
Yeah, because it's like making yourself out to be a robot, and that's not. People need to know you're human, or they're not going to connect to you, because otherwise you may as well be a robot.
Yeah. And if someone sort of sees you in the sense of that robot sort of thing, you know, this wholly professional part with no personal in it, or, you know, anything like that, well, why would you bother talking to them? Like, if I were being supported by someone like that, I'm like, well, this isn't a two-way thing. You're talking at me, and nothing's really going in when I'm talking to you. So, who's gaining from this kind of thing? So that's why it's good to have, because our personal part does come in. You know, we have our personal values. We wouldn't be in the jobs that we're in now if we didn't have them. So there is parts of the personal that bleed into it anyway. Yeah. It's just sort of about recognizing it and reflecting on that, and sort of owning it as well. Because in the different work that we do, we'll come up with things that may trigger something in our private life that we've experienced, or something people we support have experienced or talk about might be something we've had, and, you know, that can be difficult for us, and where we wouldn't say, oh yeah, I've had that exact same thing. It can be sort of like, yes, it's really difficult, that, isn't it, sort of thing. And, you know, showing that empathy, so you can draw from your private in some way, but not too much. Sort of like this empathy and compassion can come from your private experiences.
Yeah, because I've lost my grandma, and I supported her a lot during that time. And I know that one of the things that helps me with my grief was thinking about some of the funny experiences, and you know, some of the times she made me laugh, and it makes me feel better. So I ended up you know, having a conversation with someone, and we were talking about things that make us feel better about the grief, and it's like we could share something, even though they were 90 and I was in my 20s. It's like we might be at different life stages, it's totally different experience, but there's some commonality there.
If you enjoyed the video, please can you like and subscribe, and press the bell if you'd like to be updated when I put out more videos. Thank you.